Did you have anybody reach out to you that was mentioned in the book?
Yeah.
Anything you can say?
I had someone. I'm not going to mention it. I had someone that I think we touched on a little in the last interview that was really upset about the Priest chapter, like a friend of Priest.
Right.
And they asked if they were in the book, and I said yes, and they got upset. But I'm like, there's no need for you to be upset. Like, you're only mentioned in a positive light. And like, still, like, that's fucked up. Like, with Priest. You know, I was with Benny the Butcher the other day. And Benny was signing some shit for the autograph memorabilia raffle. And, you know, we see each other when he comes to town. But, you know, Benny was formerly signed to Holy Sweeter Productions. I don't know if a lot of people know that or not. Like, I've always believed in Benny. I'm insanely proud of everything he's accomplished in his career. And Benny was like, so what's the story about me in your book? And I told him about the one time I walked into their Airbnb. And as soon as I walked in, I knew I was walking into some shit. It was just me. There's like 10 of them, and they're all like arguing at me about some shit. And I could tell Benny was going to whoop my ass. And like, I probably would not have been able to prevent this. And I like grabbed his fist and I'm like, hey, not today. I got a lot of shit to do, important meetings. I need my face to be pristine. We'll pick this up another time. And I literally just walked out of the house and they were so dumbfounded. They're like, did we just let him leave? Like, go get him. And I was already in my car. And Benny knows where I live and shit. He's been in the house like for fucking New Year's parties and stuff like that. You know, like we used to host a lot of fight parties and shit and have 30, 40 people all throughout the house on any given night. You know, prior to me becoming a dad. So I'm on my way to go to a meeting in what they call Mid City. That's where my attorney's office is. And on my security cameras, I can see their rental car driving back and forth from my house. And then one of their guys calls me, and I'm like, dude, I can see you guys driving in front of my house. Like, I'm not there. Like we'll pick this up another time. And, you know, we smooth shit out in the, you know, eventually, obviously, because we still work together. But the beautiful thing about the ups and downs with Benny is I met 38 Spesh through Benny. And Spesh, like he flew in from Jersey and took a consultation with me. And from that consultation for $500, we've gone on to make millions, dude. You know, to Trust is like a fucking household name. And I've worked on albums from 38 Spesh and Conway and Ito and Fred the Godson, rest in peace, and Flea Lord and Planet Asia and Graph and OT The Real. And I'm about to start a new record with OT The Real this coming week. And that's a beautiful thing. And Spesh eventually made sure that, you know, he let Benny know, like, hey, regardless of how you feel about M80, like, he's doing a lot of good for me. And that helped smooth shit over until now we're all good and we all move as a unit.
Can you talk about how you met Benny? Because I don't think we've ever talked about that. And like what your first impression was of him.
I met Benny at, this could be the first or second time I met him. So I'll give that disclaimer. I was invited to see Eminem at Irving Plaza in New York for the Grammys. Irving Plaza holds like 1,000 people. Okay. And you got Eminem performing. It was the best Eminem show ever because there was no like backing tracks and all that shit. It was, you know, the room's so small, everything was live. If you see Eminem in a stadium or an arena, chances are, you know, there's some lip syncing and playing backing tracks and the whole nine. And you have to do that because you're filling vocal to an arena. So I believe that's when we met. And I told him who I was and like, you know, hey, you know, Westside was there and Alchemist and Paul Rosenberg and I think Stack Selector and shit. But like, I want to work with you and this is who I am and all this shit. Then we met again at a Def Jam party, for Paul Rosenberg when Paul was the president of Def Jam. Then Benny was going on tour. It was his first ever tour. And, I'm sorry, I fast tracked a little. After meeting Benny and then he introduced me to Spesh, I was doing the Ghostface album. This is 2018. So I put Benny on the Ghostface album. Benny and Spesh on Buckingham Palace. And then Benny was doing his first tour. And it was, I think, primarily West Coast dates. It was booked by like Gage and Sean Strange and shit. They were a part of that. And Beans really like sat us down and was like, look, like M80 will fuck with you and he can do everything for your career, but like, please do right by him. And eventually those words fell on like deaf ears. Like I like brought my PR network and marketing network into the program to help Benny with Chan Talk 3 when Westside was kind of MIA. And then brought him to like different booking agencies and stuff. And then after Chan Talk 3 dropped, it's like, dude, he had the world in the palm of his hands. He had people calling, offering $500,000 plus. I remember when one year at my New Year's party, I pulled him to the side and I said, look, dude, like I guarantee you in the next year, we get those $1 million phone calls. Like it's coming. It's all coming together. And Canada Talk 3 was the first Griselda album that wasn't like just a limited run. I was like, we're going to press as many of these motherfuckers as we can. Like, you know how like Hitler Wears Hermes series, there's like 250 vinyls, 500 vinyls. When they're gone, they're gone. And then you couldn't get any more.
Right.
So we never did that with Tana Talk 3. Like you can still to this day go buy a copy of Tana Talk 3 and either it's first pressing, second, third, fourth, whatever it is. Like, but the fact of the matter is it never went out of supply. And that album was the first to have marketing behind it. So you had Joe Pesci 38 on like Double XL and allhiphop.com and The Source and, you know, blowing up. Whereas Conway and on Westside never had that level of press before. And then eventually those guys would adapt Matt Conway and my other PR people to work their programs as well.
So where exactly did the issues stem from between you guys to begin with, though?
Okay, so and this isn't just like particular to Benny. This happens to me all the time. I'm not part of BSF. I didn't come from Buffalo, just like, you know, I'm not from the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm not from Staten Island. I'm not from Park Hill. I'm not from New York. So I'm always an outsider in any of these equations. And it doesn't matter. Either you're going to be a strong artist. Like I know Benny, I believe Benny fought this as long as he could. A lot of people were in his ear like, we don't need the white guy. We're good now. Like we're on. We like, so you can choose to use somebody or not. Like, if I'm only bringing money to the table and opportunity to the table, why would you get rid of me? Why would you get rid of that person serving the function? But the fact of the matter is more and more people were in his ear that he gave like candor to. Like, okay, you know, and a lot of people thought their jobs were like perhaps not so secure with me in the photo. I had to deal, or with me in the picture. I had to deal with that with DMX. You know, DMX absolutely loved the shit out of me, and we only saw each other like, you know, 4 or 5 times a year for work, and then we'd hang out from there. But every time we'd work, I'm bringing a giant fucking bag to the table. So it's like I had that conversation one time with Pat Gallo, aka Divine Bars. Like, you don't have to worry, dude. I don't want to be you. I don't want to be DMX's manager. Every time I'm with DMX, my life's in fucking danger. Like, we get in the car smoking a blunt with a fucking gallon of Hennessy, going 70 and a 30 through a residential neighborhood. Like, there's like little shit like that, you know? Or like maybe we'd be at a pool hall and someone would say the wrong thing and he wants to stick a pool cue across someone's face and the whole bar erupts in a fight. So it's like, I never really got to have that conversation with Benny's team. Like, I don't want to be you. Just allow me to be me and you guys do your shit. See, I don't work for any one artist. I don't work for any one label. Holy Tweeter Productions is the world's first A&R firm. I do 12 different functions for 200 some artists, and I work with who needs what in any given day, week, or month, right? So ultimately, he let his people get the best of him and be like, we don't need him. But to that point in time, all I'd done was bring opportunity to the table, and even had signed Benny for this project with Bronze Nazareth that was called The Bronze Butcher, that I knew as soon as Benny was taken off that the record wasn't going to happen. If we could have made it pre-Tan Talk 3, sure, I'm sure we could have come back and that would have been great. But after that, then everything was Alchemist and Hit Boy and Lil Wayne and you know, like the big names. So you know, it was really tough to break that to Bronze. Like, hey, we're not doing this project. But you know, they took care of me. It wasn't without like, you know, favor. And then the funny thing is, the beats that Benny picked for the Bronze Butcher are the beats we used for Crooked Eye and Bronze Gravitas. So if you go back and listen to Gravitas, imagine hearing Benny on those tracks. He picked those beats. It's kind of like he A&R'd that album.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So what led up to the moment that they wanted to jump you, and then you left?
And this again is all just like I probably said some things I shouldn't have said, but again, I thought I was talking to like people that had Benny's interest and my interest at heart. Come to find out, they really just had Benny's interest at heart. These aren't my fucking friends. I get comfortable in social settings. Like if I'm in a room with Benny and he's with, say, 20 of his people, I feel comfortable because ultimately I know Benny's the shot caller. Right?
Right.
So Benny's shooting 2 music videos that day, and I'm involved in both. There's scenes they're doing for 97 Hove, and I have the Jay-Z gold plaque, his first ever one, for the song Dead President. Then we did the video for Scarface Meets Sosa Part 2, and I'm in the kitchen cooking up, and I don't think you see my face, but like it's me. I'm one of the cooks. And so I'm there, and Westside's there, and City Boy, and Jake, and some of Benny's people and shit, Jimmy. And they're asking me about my contract with Benny. And they're like, well, Benny's going to do this album with Smoke DZA and Johnny Snipes or whatever his name is. He got us this home studio, and he had all this weed and catering, and you got to do something nice like that, M80. And I'm laughing. I'm like, bro, I rented out where like the Atlantic Records studio where like Wiz Khalifa and Ty Dolla $ign, like, yay, it's a lot better than your fucking makeshift home studio. Like, so I'm making fun of them, and they felt away about that. Like I'm downplaying the shit that Smoke DZA and them are doing. But then, I probably said something along the lines of like, like Benny can't do any other records until this is done. In his contract, it was Tana Talk 3, then this. And I agreed to like do all the, like I put money into the marketing and stuff like that for Benny's Tana Talk 3 with no like, there's no financial anything for me in that. I did that because if that album blew up and then my shit was next, it would make my shit bigger and better, right? It makes sense. So they went back when we finished the video, like me and Benny had to sit down and talked about like Steve Rifkin wanted to work with him and all these people. And I was explaining to Benny like how the multipliers work when it comes to advances and stuff. So like, I think Steve had offered like $500,000. And I told Benny, I'm like, do you need $500,000? He's like, who the fuck doesn't need $500,000? I'm like, this is after like, Tana Talk 3's out now and killing it. I'm like, how much money do you make if you put out a project right now? And this is 2018, 2019. So let's say that number then was $250,000. And let's say now it's like $1 million. But if you can make $250,000 yourself, you go do it yourself. Unless you absolutely need the money. That's when you take the advance money. Because when you take the advance money, the industry multiplier, let's say, is times 2.5 to 3.5. So if you take $500,000, chances are, before you even factor in marketing, manufacturing, all these other associated costs, you don't see another dime on your product. It doesn't matter if you're getting a 50-50 split, a 80-20, a 70-30, whatever it is. That's the business. You're not seeing another dollar until that's made, like, say, $1.7 million. So why would you not make the extra $1.2 million if you could? So Benny's like, yo, you're right. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to hold off on that because right now I'm doing great. So when Benny did the deal with Def Jam, let's say it was for $1 million plus, that's a smart play for him because it doesn't matter with that. Again, this is from the outside looking in. I don't know of the money, whether it's $1 million or $1.5 million or $2 million, where all the money's going. Like Alchemist got to get paid, Hit Boy's got to get paid, so on and so forth. The Feet Lil Wayne's got to get paid. But ideally, you're putting an amount of money in your pocket that you didn't make or couldn't make at the time from doing it yourself. And that's when taking the advance is justified. So it's like 9 a.m. and I'm on a call and I get a call from Benny, like pissed. And he's like, I need you to come to the house. And they're staying at an Airbnb like 5 minutes from me. So I get there and they're like, Jake said, you said, like, I'm your slave. And I'm like, I did not say you're my slave. I said, I was like, your next album has to be this album per contract. And I wrote his contract like someone that's never seen a contract before. So I didn't give him the whole like legal mumbo jumbo shit like I would do for Rakim or Wu-Tang that's seasoned and like has seen these contracts for 15, 20, 30 years. I wrote it like actually breaking down like the money split. Like you never see dollar signs in contracts, always percentages. That's how they keep it vague. So he's like, my attorney thought your contract was fucking dumb. And I'm like, dude, I know how to write a contract. I went to law school. I specialize in advanced contracts and litigation. I wrote that so you felt comfortable. They were like making fun of what they did with my advance money. And just basically like, we're not going to do your record and we're going to get you your money back. And it was a lot for me to hear in the moment because like, I don't think that had to happen. Like, I'm glad, really honestly, glad that we still have a good rapport today. But and in the moment, I was like, you're really letting your people that are essentially hanger around types, like they're yes men. And I'm not a yes man. Like I'll tell you, like, don't do this, you know, like what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So essentially, yeah, that one was gone. Like, and I laughed, you know, feeling defeated, like, Benny had thrown some verbal jabs at me that really hit home about like, you know, you do a lot of good for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't respect you. And my dumb ass is like, I sold the respect a long time ago for a double dose of the money and the power, which is something I've been saying for the longest time because I know I'm not the most respected person in the game. How could I be? A lot of people feel about me how Benny's people on the outside looking in felt about me. They're like, we don't need this guy. Like, he's not BSF. He's not from Buffalo. We could do it ourselves. But you didn't do it yourself until some people like me helped put you in the position. And now the people that are just like, they need you to succeed. Benny takes care of like fuckloads of people, bro. When we talked about that in the dress or in the green room the other day, I was like, look around, bro. You are literally responsible for all these people being here. I don't have that. Like, I take care of me and my family, dude, and some of my very closest friends, as you know, have heard from shit like, you know, Chino and, you know, my videographer and friend Westlife, like, did such a good job the past year. I went and bought him a fucking Mercedes convertible. And, you know, Planet Asia has been with me for 27 years. Yo, here's a Mercedes truck, like that kind of shit. But it's like, you know, like I said, I'm glad that the bright side of the scenario was no one got killed. No one got hurt. I brokered the Benny feature on the Mick Jenkins album. That was a humongous paycheck for him and big. That record did insanely well. You know, I've helped put Benny in show situations and feature situations and shit like that. Like, I'm never going to be there to work another Benny album because he's always going to already have those deals in place now. Like, you know, anytime he becomes a free agent with any label, there's going to be someone that wants to pick him up immediately. Like, it's always a numbers game. It always makes sense. And that's how a lot of these independent dudes operate. But I'm grateful for all the work that came of it with 38 Spesh, and that, you know, like Benny knows that, like, you know, Spesh vouches for me now. And, you know, we could just like sit in the same room and shoot our shit. And I told him, I'm like, who you're with right now, like Chase Infinite, that's the right fit. Like, that's a good look. I respect the fuck out of Chase. I don't know if it's mutual. He's always very cordial to me, and you know he's like best friends with Planet Asia, and Asia is my guy for 20 some years. So that's really what I'm glad we're at that point now. It's like, I don't need anything from you, you don't need anything from me, and now we can just like be proud of one another.
No doubt, man. When Shady signed Conway and Westside Gunn, why didn't they sign Benny too?
Benny wasn't known like that yet. Both Conway and West had way more material out there. So that's really all that was. One of the other things that kind of pissed them off, just to go back to the other story, when they were making that What Would Sheen Gun Do? I was talking with Crooked Eye, and you know, Crook told me, he's like, Paul just called me and asked if he needs to call you to get like clearances for Benny's appearances on this album. So I call Westside. I'm like, look, like, Paul hit Crook about wanting to know if I need to sign off for Benny's verses on, and he's like, why? Benny signed to Griselda. I'm like, well, he has this pre-existing contract with me, and that we need to like settle. And eventually the attorney, like, you know, bought me out. It was literally just for exactly what I put into it. Didn't make, there was no profit to be had there, though the profit would have been like an extra like 80 grand. That would have been nice to have.
Right.
But, again, it's me doing something nice for two reasons. One, I want to keep my life. And if these dudes are already rolling past my fucking house on my security cameras just because, then this would definitely give them more reason to. Um, and two, like, I don't want to stifle a record. Like, I'm not going to withhold the world from having this Griselda album that may be the only one we ever get. So, I felt good about that for both reasons. Like, I made it very easy on Benny as an attorney. Hey, let's get me out of the equation. And then that way, Paul and Def Jam, they didn't need any kind of like clearances from me or sign offs for Benny's appearances. And, everyone got to save face and play the role of the hero.
For sure.